CJay YT What's going on, guys? It's your boy CJay. I'm back in with another division video. So today I'm going to be showing you guys my Alpha Bridge SMG build. It has a lot of crit chance, crit damage. It can completely obliterate people in the DZ and last stand if used properly, while sustaining against groups and just about anything while you're solo or in groups pretty much. So if you use it correctly, you should be just putting in a lot of work. So with that being said, let's get right into the build. Now, what I use is an AV MP5N. You can use the MP5ST or the MP7, but the reason I don't use the MP7 is because the MP7 has a very small mag size. You can only have a max of 42 or 43, while the Navy MP5 or the MP5s in general can hold up to about 67. So you can see the big difference there. If you use MP7, you will find yourself reloading quite a bit more than you really want to. But the MP7 is also very good. It has a very high RPM and you can completely obliterate. But the MP5 has a good RPM while having a lot of mags, or mag size, so it's pretty damn good. Has 22% crit chance, 21.1k damage, vicious, responsive, combatant, and deadly. You can switch this up a bit. You could put fierce instead of vicious, but I mean, it's not that serious. The reason why I would say that is because vicious, if you get 2 bars or even 1 bar of your segment down, you're gonna lose that 10%, which of course, I mean, no one really wants that to happen. But with fierce, you will always have the 5%, so you can lose the 5% more that you'd get from vicious. Instead, you'll have that 5% on fierce all the time. So you can do that. I use vicious just because, I mean, it works for me, but if vicious is not working for you, fierce could be a very good option if you find that you are losing your crit chance a lot more than you're gaining from using vicious. So I use combatant just because, I mean, I use my skills all the time. In every fight I'll be using my skills, so getting the extra damage out of it is always good. So now for my secondary, I use the AUG. I don't really ever use it, but it can be viable sometimes when I do run out of mags, and sometimes I just want to get in that last few bullets because this guy may not have a lot of health left. This has vicious, unforgiving, deadly, combatant, which is a nice mix up there, but it's really not that serious. You can, if I would recommend anything, I would put maybe predatory somewhere in here, so you can just knock a player down and get majority of your health back after a fight, which, while you'd have to switch weapons of course randomly, and some people will probably forget to do that, you can also make use out of it. Now here I use a Damascus. I know that's kind of weird, but I don't actually touch it or anything like that. It's never really used. So now for my vest, I use a reckless chest piece, increase damage by 8% and increase incoming damage by 10%. You can always take this out and use a Barrett's chest piece, but I find that reckless is a lot better for damage dealing builds, as I don't really have a problem sustaining even with the reckless chest piece. So just keep that in mind. Also, I'm just gonna point out that all the mods have firearms mods with health roll. Some of them do have stamina, but it's really not that serious. This has health on kill and health. I forgot to mention that. So you're gonna want health on kill where you can get it, as well as health on everything. Now my mask, it's roll into firearms, 882 armor, 4% crit chance, and basically same thing, got a firearms mod there. Knee pads, now this one is rolled into stamina. I did that for the extra health, but of course you can actually get a Alpha Bridge knee pads with a firearms roll and get health as well, so you can get even more damage from this build if you just switch that around. But I do find if you don't have at least one piece in the stamina, you'll find yourself very squishy. So just keep that in mind. Of course you can go that way for just full out DPS. For my backpack, I have just roll into health, of course, and firearms. 1271 firearms, 12k health. You can get up to I think 13k or something like that. This has a stamina mod. Of course, you should probably have all firearms mods, but having a couple stamina mods with health isn't bad as well. For the prototype performance mod, I'm just going to clear up that everything should be first aid self-heal, because of course healing being pretty bad if you're a DPS player, you are going to need it. So keep that in mind. It's not a must-have, but it's also like you should have it. Of course, I have for my gloves, they are Savage gloves. Critical chance increased by 7% against targets out of cover. There's no real good gloves apart from Savage gloves to use in the DPS build, so I don't really have recommendation on stuff that, like, if you don't have Savage gloves, just try and get one, because there aren't much other viable options for this build. But of course you can get any pair of gloves and then roll like the crit chance, the crit damage, and the SMG damage, but you're going to be missing that extra crit chance. So get a pair of Savage gloves. They usually sell them quite a bit at the blueprint vendors. I think there was one last week. There might even be one this week. I'm not 100% sure, but make sure to check. Now I have my Alpha Bridge holster. Normally I would say to run Nimble, but as you guys have probably heard, Nimble is getting the nerf, so Nimble is not that serious. Try and get used to not using Nimble, as well as I don't find the need to use Nimble while I'm in combat. Like, if I die, I die, but if I do come on top, I don't necessarily need to go cover to cover to heal. I'd only be using Nimble when I'm just finished the fight, so it's not even that serious to be using in the middle of a fight, because you can get killed by anyone that has any sense of logic before you even get to that cover to regen your health anyways. So I don't really find it that viable to use right now, but it can be used. Maybe you can switch out the Savage gloves to the Alpha Bridge gloves and then run a Nimble holster, but I wouldn't recommend it. That's pretty much it for the build here. I know it has low skill power, but it's not that serious. Now let's get into the overall stats. Alright, as you can see, 413k DPS, 308 toughness, 82 skill power, 21k weapon damage, 49.5% crit chance, which is pretty much, well, 50. So you're basically hitting your crits almost pretty much every time. Like, it's 50% of the time you're hitting it. That's pretty damn good. 111 crit damage. You can get more, but you do lose a lot of sustain by putting on crit damage instead of health on certain gear pieces and stuff. Damage release, not that serious. Skill power, you guys already saw. The health is 235k. It's not the best, it's not high. Of course, there are builds with like 280k health that roll more into stamina, but it's pretty good for a DPS build. If you use everything properly, you shouldn't have too much of a problem. And I'm going to show you guys the talents there in a sec. As you see, I use Booster Shot. You can use Overdose, but then you're missing out on damage and mitigation. So yeah, that's why I don't use Booster Shot. But if you find yourself really squishy, you can of course sacrifice the damage to get more of a heal, but it's really not that serious. And I use the Immunizer. The reason I use the Immunizer is because in the middle of a fight, let's say I run someone using a shock turret or a flame turret, I can just put that down and be immune to that. Maybe give me some time to blow up the flame turret and then just blow up my Immunizer and get some heals. And the heals are pretty good off the Immunizers, so I would recommend using it. I don't use Pulse because it's not that necessary with the SMG build. You can, of course, like if you're running in a group with a dedicated healer, go ahead, switch out the Immunizer for Pulse and you'll do a lot more damage. But because I'm a solo player, I don't ever have a reason to use Pulse to get extra damage. It's always good to have more sustain. So that is why I do that. Now for talents, I use Critical Save, Strike Back, precision, and on the move. Now these talents here, like critical save, like if you don't use that properly, and I'm going to be making videos showing you guys how to, like, I guess, be better with using your talents at the right time and when to use these talents, you're gonna end up not being able to use this build properly. Like, you need to take advantage of all these talents. Like, if you're at really low health, or you're like, don't start a fight by using medkits, alright? Because you're gonna wish you used the medkit when you had low health to get that damage increase, and then you can pop the booster shot and get a good amount of damage boost and mitigation. So use the talents properly, because if you don't, I know I'm gonna get comments saying, oh my god, you know, this doesn't work, I keep getting killed, blah 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 blah. If you don't make use of the talents in everything that you have properly, you will never be able to win fights. It doesn't matter what build you run. I can put firearms onto just about any build and then completely go in and shred people, but if you don't use the talents properly, you won't come out of your fights victorious or anything like that. So make sure to pay attention to what the talents say and use them. I'm going to be making videos showing you guys how to do this stuff and when to use certain talents, but just make sure to use it, because this is a build that is pretty squishy, and if you don't take advantage of these talents, well, you'll die. So with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed the build, hope you guys enjoyed the gameplay, and make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you guys think of the build. Your opinion is always valid and possible, and right here you guys can always, you know, tell me if I can improve or whatever. I know a lot of people, especially YouTubers, content creators, that get really salty when people disagree with their builds, but over here we don't really do that shit. So it's been your boy. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.